Yeah, so we're gonna just have to sit a little closer. Oh, there we go. Perfect. I don't need to be in the picture.
I can be in the back.
Yeah. Steve, can you move this back a little bit for us? I'm never going to use that camera again. We just need to get the full shot here.
Yeah, now
I am
they can't even serve the food.
Back it up, Steve. Back it up. Turn it a little
Nobody really
toward me.
needs to see you.
Turn a little. There we go. Perfect. Right there. Hey, Terry, watch the camera. Don't step on the camera. Welcome to the show.
I don't know if he prepared you for us, but we're gonna.
He didn't.
He didn't help you with the parking.
We're like lamb to the slaughter.
Oh no! We're gonna be very good, at least while you're here.
Nice and close with the microphone.
Yeah.
Is somebody missing or?
No, this is it.
Okay.
This is it.
Okay, so
Mike, we had to leave someone at home to
hold down the fort
to us.
Okay.
If you didn't make it back.
If we didn't make it back.
So it's Mike Love, and I'm sorry because we've never met. So, Mike, you do the introductions then.
Okay, so I'm Mike Love. I am the Economic Development Director for the NAACP, and
I'm Jaquelyn McMiller. I am the co-chair of the redistricting committee for the NAACP.
Okay, and the reason that we invited you on was because there's a big redistricting issue with Lee County going on, and there was I think 5 maps that they started with, and it's really a big deal because the redistricting of the county counts for the next decade. They do it every time there's a census, and it has a lot to do with who gets elected in the certain areas, right? So first of all, before we start on that, tell us a little bit about the local NAACP and how long it's been operating, and really what some of the services that you provide to the community.
Well, the NAACP has been operating here in the city of Fort Myers for over 50 years. Our president, James Muwakil, has been the president for at least the last 20 years. And a few of the things that we do is we help the citizens, we give them information, we're information providers, but we also stand up and with those citizens whose civil liberties have been trampled upon, if their rights as far as, people of color and anyone, if they are, anyone of the disfranchised that fits under that umbrella. But, we will discuss, investigate, and give them the information. So if they need to go further seeking attorneys, or if we need to represent them somehow. And sometimes it even doesn't go to that. Maybe it just may take a phone call to speak to whomever that other party may be. But just to make sure that the person's rights are upheld and that everyone is being treated fairly and given a fair opportunity to be represented.
Do you find that a lot of times it's just a situation where someone just needs to be educated and more sensitized versus rampant problems? Or is it, what is your impression of the split there?
It's more of education, and that's one of the things that we do. And many times once the president or one of the representatives from the NAACP has that conversation and get both of the parties together and make sure that there's a clear understanding of what happens, because many times when, people are upset, things get misconstrued.
Yep.
And that's where we are the ones that kind of come in and kind of either get everyone to see both sides and then come and settle in the middle somewhere. And then there's times where we have to fight, right, when there's a specific, issue that needs to be addressed, and that person's rights have not been taken into consideration. And we have to step forward, and that's where the NAACP comes in at.
Just by coincidence or not, I have been kind of studying the Supreme Court, and now I'm reading a lot about Brown versus the Board of Education. I wonder if the younger generation, or maybe not even the younger generation, understands that time frame, which really wasn't that long ago in the 60s, and how difficult it was. And if it wasn't for the NAACP, how different things might be today. Do you feel like enough is taught about what went on back then and how difficult it was at that time, and you know,
Mm.
and you know, how do you help educate people on? I don't know if struggle is the right word. It probably is the right word, but it sounds idiotic coming from me. But it was really crazy if you read about some of the stuff that went on back then. And if it wasn't for the fund and the NAACP, it would be crazy how things were, even years and years later. It took forever.
Very
You
true.
know, if you the Constitution is such a powerful tool, and we do not teach it. We don't even teach civics in school anymore. And as a result, we are raising several generations of individuals who do not understand our basic foundation, our constitutional rights. If you go way back to the Jim Crow period, where if you wanted to vote, you would walk into a room and there is a jar with beans, and you had to guess the amount of beans. Our kids don't know that, unfortunately. So do we blame the school system? Yes. Do we blame the families? Yes. So there's enough blame to go around, but at times we look at our governmental entities to help with the process. And when we look at Lee County, we are saying, okay, we have a lot of work to do.
Why do you say that?
Because when you look at Lee County and you see the districting and you see the struggle that we currently going through just to get a minority majority, or get minorities, blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, to get the person of their choice to represent them, then you know there's a big problem here, and the NAACP is working hard to make sure there's a certain amount of equity.
So
Involved.
when you say minority majority, can you explain what that is?
Well, a minority majority is, say, for example, you have an area that the majority of the people that live in that particular area are minorities.
Okay.
So basically, it's at least 51% or more of that group of people that live within that specific area is a majority. So, and to piggyback on, what you just said and what we were just talking about, the Lee County was just desegregated. The schools were just desegregated in 1970. So it wasn't that long ago. So the struggle is continually real, that we must move forward. We must push forward to obtain that equity. And, in just knowing that it wasn't not that long ago
Right, right.
that we're continuing to fight for this equity and
What is the
equality.
minority population in Lee County?
We are at this point in time, we are about 180,000.
Out of, I mean, you know,
700,000.
okay.
Mhm.
And is there a specific area that the minorities live in that you want to try and make it a majority? Forgive me if I don't
Yeah,
understand redistricting. This is really the first time I've followed redistricting that closely and
It's
see what.
once every 10 years, so
Yeah.
it's
Unless it
it's
gets
not
challenged.
unless it gets challenged like
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
know. But the Lee County has 5 districts,
Right.
Mhm.
and in District 5, where it tends to straddle District 5 and District 2, tends to straddle Metropolitan Fort Myers and Lehigh Acres.
Okay.
Now, what the NAACP is trying to do, and we presented a map, and we are following the Constitution from the 19 civil 64 Civil Rights Acts and subsequent
Voter. Yeah.
right, you and the subsequent cases. We are saying that if you can find contiguity, meaning that properties are area that touches each other, and you can get a minority majority, as you can see on the map. So if you take Fort Myers, as you can see on the map,
Mm-hmm.
and you take Lehigh Acres, they are butting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And if you if you draw a reasonable size map, you can take in a minority majority with blacks and brown people, blacks,
So-
Latinos, and Hispanics.
So this map here, what one of the things that you have to do with redistricting is try and keep the number of people, the total number of people, around the same number, which
Right.
it appears to be 150-ish thousand people
152,000 approximately.
in Lee County. And
Yes.
so the district that you're talking about is 3.
That's
Or-
not where you're
five.
pointing.
Five.
Sorry.
Five.
You're
Up towards
talking
Lehigh.
you're talking
Move your
about
finger.
The yellow.
5. Okay, so you're talking about making 5 a minority majority district.
Yes.
And
So-
actually, just to explain a little bit more in depth, those 5 districts were drawn when there was only 10,000 people in Lee County.
How long ago was that?
Oh wow!
Over
Since the
100 years?
inception
Oh, I see.
of Lee
County.
County,
So the map as it exists today has never been redrawn.
it's been redrawn,
Redrawn.
but it's been 5 districts.
Oh, okay.
It was
okay.
set up with 5 districts when it
With
was only
10,000
10,000 people.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
So it's
Oh, I see.
over 700,000 people now.
So
Do you
let's
think there needs to be more districts then?
Well, with the growth,
I don't think
and
you can.
considering the growth from 2010 to 2020,
You can't.
absolutely, that only makes sense. And not only that, we need people, we need representatives that I cannot, as a representative, say that I'm living somewhere on the outskirts of Fort Myers Beach, for example.
Mhm.
I cannot say that I can represent you because I don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I may live here for a period of time, I don't really know the area. So it only makes sense that we have someone that actually knows this area, knows the people, know the struggles, and can be able to represent the needs of that area. The way the map is set up right now, to have a person, because it's set up as an at-large voting system,
Right.
and to have a person to represent that area, that's the purpose of what we're doing now. We want to make sure that that person, that area, which is a minority majority area, to be able to have someone to have an opportunity to be represented.
So if
I
we
know,
could talk
okay,
about the election, the way the election works in Lee County, just for a second. When somebody runs for Lee County Board, everybody in the county gets to vote. So even though they're representing one of the 5 districts, anybody could vote. Everybody can vote for that person. So why such an emphasis on trying to create? I don't know why. So that's what I'm asking.
Right.
To create an area when it really doesn't. It seems like the way it's set up now, it really doesn't matter.
So the bottom line is, if you don't need my vote, you don't care about my interests, would you?
I
that's
don't
what's
follow.
happening
I
now.
don't follow you.
Here's the thing: if you have at large vote, and you have 500,000 people ready to vote for you, you might ignore 200.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's happening is the person who is supposed to be representing District 5, where we are seeking that minority majority, if they can get votes from the other districts, they will ignore
I see.
the thing. And further in our conversation, I want to get to the point where we can say this is not about the map. There is a story below the map that is contained within the map that is being ignored. And when we get to that point,
Okay.
we're going to explore it.
Do you mean today we're going to
Right
get? Okay. So
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I just want to make sure I
absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
So my thought is that you want to also change the charter. You want
Well,
to change the county charter so that the votes are done differently.
We're
That would be
not
the
at
only
that
way,
point.
right?
We're
Right,
not
right.
at that point. But we're at redistricting. Charter changing and stuff is down the road. Right
Mhm.
now, we are dealing with redistricting.
Okay. So if let's say your map there's 7 maps, I
Right.
think, because Brian.
Yeah.
Brian, let me pull up Brian's map too.
Right.
Brian Hammond brought this map. He built this map in his office. And
Okay.
have you guys been able to look over Brian's map?
Yes.
And what are your thoughts on his map? Go or no go?
No go.
No go on that.
Absolutely
And
not.
if
Okay.
just
Why
take a
absolutely
quick look.
not? Okay.
Just take a quick look at what would be District 5. District 5 is sitting right on top of the city of Fort Myers,
Okay.
and it's encapsulate the entire city of Fort Myers. You're gonna have a serious tension there between city government and county government.
I see. Now, because I'm terrible with maps. And so, where's Lehigh Acres? What district is that?
5
District 5 is Lehigh. So
and maybe part of 3.
let's
I don't know.
put your map back up, and your map,
See, it straddles.
Lehigh and Fort Myers,
Mhm.
There you go.
and that's how the minority majority is created.
Well,
Yours goes
and-
more across, and the other ones seem to. It's just in it's oriented
Mhm.
differently
Right.
too,
Well, you
like
also
north,
have
south,
to think
east,
about
west.
the fact that we have people in the Lehigh area and Fort Myers area. Many of the people that lived in Fort Myers have migrated because of circumstances, because of the fact that many of the people live on. They have the same interests.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
Part of the 1965 Voting Rights Act indicates that if you have a minority, you can build a minority majority because of the fact that they have same interests, you have the same people, you have a minority group of people, and that includes black and brown. That
Mhm,
includes those people that are mixed.
mhm,
So
mhm.
there's a huge amount of minorities. So when you have that, and you can make that map the contiguous map, you have to
do it.
draw it.
Yeah.
You have to draw it. You have more people from Fort Myers and Lehigh that depend on public transportation,
Mhm.
that depend on public assistance, that most of the households are led by single family households. You have a higher dropout rate within Fort Myers and Lehigh. So there's a lot of consistencies between the two.
And that's where you get the phrase community of interest.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
So what again, if it doesn't matter about who's voting, like the voters can vote at large, how is that advantageous to you if the person that gets elected to the district is somebody that you don't feel like is going to be representing that district the way you want, then you go to a charter change, right? I mean, or do you, like, if somebody, I always feel like I'm going to ask the question the wrong way, and I apologize if I
That's
do.
okay. That's
But
okay.
who do you want elected? Like, who could really lead what you're trying
Okay,
to do?
first of all,
You're gonna
we're
yell,
not-
are you
we're
yelling
not
at me?
looking-
Are you
no,
yelling at me?
no.
Okay.
It's the Jamaican blood inside
Oh,
of me.
sorry.
A little hint of an accent there.
Right.
Just a small.
The bottom line is this: we are not looking for a black person to represent us. That's racism. We're not looking for a Hispanic or a Latino. That's racism.
Okay.
We're looking for the individual who have our best interest at heart.
So are you saying that the 5 that we have now don't?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because if you see where we live, how we live, the things that are happening that are not being addressed, and let's face it, there's a legacy of discrimination that resides in Lee County.
But not from these 5 representatives. Is that?
If your action creates negligence, if your action creates ignoring a community, yes.
When you say
if I can go down some places in this county, and I can send pictures to my family all over the world,
Mhm.
and it's the best vacation pictures. Let's see you do the same thing in Lehigh Acres and some places in metropolitan Fort Myers.
when you say when they see where we live, where is that? What do you mean by that? Where?
when it rain and the sidewalk is flooded because it's dirt, it's not.
I know, but where are you talking about? Lehigh? Is
I'm
that?
talking
Lehigh
Lehigh Acres
okay.
and Fort
And
Myers.
parts
Okay.
of Fort
Parts
Myers
of
as
Fort
well.
Myers.
I got you.
So
I
it's
lived in, and just to give you a compare and contrast, I lived in Gateway,
Mhm.
but I grew up in the Dunbar area. When we moved to Gateway, you can walk out, the lawns are manicured, the sidewalks. The argument with that is, can we get wider sidewalks and bike paths? But when you actually go into metropolitan Fort Myers, which is part of Dunbar, and also in Lehigh Acres, they don't even have that argument because they have no sidewalks at all.
Okay.
There are
I'm
no
glad
bike
I'm glad
paths
you brought
at
that up.
all.
We were talking about this last night. Lee County seems like they can't stop the growth. They can't stop the people from coming. They can't stop the bed tax from coming. They can't stop the money from coming, which I think I mean, I think that's a good thing. I mean, so why are there any poor areas in Lee County? Why?
Why aren't there any?
Why are there areas where there are poor people? I mean, what is missing to fix that?
Well, the bottom line is, if you can ignore a community, you will. If there's no consequences for ignoring that community, you will. You will get to them when you can.
That's why we need fair representation from within that community.
Okay. All right. So the process is on November 2nd, Tuesday, I think. There's a public hearing for all the different map selections, which I think is up to 7 now, right? They didn't.
Now, is that meeting? Because I know there was some discussion at the meeting that I watched that you were at, and I'm sure you were there, about the time of day and needing some extra meetings. Has that happened? Is that occurring?
Yes. And the second, it's at 6:00.
Okay.
So and that's fantastic. We got to say that the commissioners were very responsive to that request, and they and we also have to say the fact that they have started the process so early, even though the data was given to them, we have to give them credit on that because they are making every effort to have the maps available so that the community can look at it themselves and make some decision about it.
Now, what do you think the chances are that your map gets?
Is this the same map that you presented at the meeting,
No.
or did you took the?
No, because
it looked
you
a
didn't
little
have the data.
different.
You didn't have
You
the
had
data.
right?
Right.
It was a draft of a map.
It was a draft. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Because when they created map 6A and 6B,
Right.
they were supposed to turn it in, I think, October 15th. They posted the maps, but no data was given.
Okay.
So we couldn't put data on our maps.
Okay.
But we knew the boundaries, but we couldn't put the data in.
So
now you do, and that's
so
the
what
one
do
you-
you
okay.
what do you think the chances are this map can be approved? Have you had any backroom discussions with the county commissioners, and have you tried to lobby them? And
We have not.
No.
The only thing that we can do is go before the county commission and implore them to be fair and to follow the 1965 Voting Rights Act as it's written. And you see that there's that opportunity. They have an opportunity to make history. And I'm hoping that they do that. And when I say make history, it's to do the fair thing where we can start moving forward. Right now, with the 5 districts as it stands, from inception of Lee County until now, you have 700,000 people. It's time for us to move forward. That meaning changing, actually accepting the fact that we have a majority city. And minority majority area where we can draw maps to lead us to a point where we can set things up where we can have a representative of our choice. And that's the first step forward. So we're hoping that when they do make their decision, that they're going to think about that.
okay,
They can
And
change
so-
the lives
so
of children.
Wait, let me just add, because the map as you presented it, that section, that swath kind of through the middle does meet that majority minority
Criteria,
rule.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
It
Okay.
does.
Are there other criteria that have to be met for people who may not know?
Well, yes, there's a 3-part jingles test, and it's like going into constitutional weed.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you can
But
rest
all of that-
assured,
yes.
all of that is
It's
built
been met.
in.
Yeah.
Has been met.
So again, to me, at some point though, somebody has to run for office that can win, and this is obviously a Republican county. It's a Republican machine, and you got to pay your dues. I mean, I'm not saying that's the rule. I'm just from what I've seen. Do you have somebody that now at some point, even though it's at large and you're not talking about changing the charter, that you want to see run for office? There are 2 seats up next year. Is somebody going to run?
You know, the NAACP don't put up or take down officers. That's not our role.
Okay. All right.
Our role is to create the environment where
For somebody
any
to.
individual who has the desire and the wherewithal to create their own path. That's what we do. We,
All right,
we
so-
don't.
opportunity
right.
to do
So
it.
take your NAACP hat off and just be a regular Joe here shooting the breeze with a couple of goofy podcasters. Who would you like to see on the ballot?
I don't have that type of luxury to
Oh.
take off the NAACP
Okay.
act. I don't have that luxury.
I'm I think for me personally, it comes down to fair ability to be able to run
I
if
see.
you want to.
Mhm.
Just having that opportunity.
Right.
And that's what it means.
Yeah.
And that's what
But-
it all
It doesn't really seem like a picnic to kind of throw your hat into any kind
Yeah.
of race because they get so contentious. So
Yes.
it
But-
does
but
have to be somebody who wants
still,
to do
I'm
that.
still a little slow today. Even if your map
Today?
even if your map gets approved, I don't see how it's any better off. If you have people that you don't feel are representing you, it's not any different, right?
because of the at large.
Because of the way because of the way things run in the county. It's am I wrong?
Well, I think you have to run before you walk.
Okay. So
And this is a process that we're in. We can't we had to fight as far as the NAACP. We've had to fight for years. The people of color have had to fight for years. So we're taking bites out of this.
Mhm.
So to think that we're all of a sudden going to get that map and then all of a sudden miraculously we're going to get that vote. No, because we have an at-large voting system
Yeah.
that's been
I
set up
see.
since the Jim Crow era
Yeah.
to specifically ensure that a person of minority background does
Never-
not get elected. So now what are we going to do? Are we not going to fight just for that piece of the map and then move forward? We have to fight step by step, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's
And-
what the NAACP
right.
is
And
for.
our president, James Moakil, he's been at it for 30 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
30 years. And the ball is moving down the field, which gives us this excitement that something is happening. It might be incremental,
I got you.
but the ball is moving down the field.
Do you feel like
Can I ask a
Yes,
question?
go right
I
ahead because
just-
I'm being ignorant according to Al. I apologize if I'm coming across ignorant.
Not at
just
all.
there's some learning process for a lot of
Well,
people.
I
I think.
think that's
especially
what
when
we
it comes
talked
to the
about in the
redistricting.
beginning. So you mentioned about flood control being one of the issues in the area. What are some of the other issues? What are some of the other problems you want to see a representative from that area work towards fixing, if that's the correct term?
For instance, we have in Lehigh Acres and Metropolitan Fort Myers, we have multi-generational family, living. And so there are issues that comes with that.
Mhm.
You have dropout rates that needs to be addressed. And some of the time, the reason why we have those issues, and I'll give you an example. 2019, I went to Dunbar High School and we were talking about incarceration and things of that nature. And we were talking to the graduating class. And we asked them, show your hands if you know someone that is in prison. And just about everyone in the room, hands went up. And then we say, okay, take your hands down if you have a relative in jail. And most of the hands came down.
Stayed up.
Came down. The hands came
Okay.
down because
Okay.
they had someone that they know, a family member that is in jail. And that's powerful. That's powerful. There is something to be said for second chance. Is the system set up for second chance, especially if you have that as a problem in your community? Buses. What about buses? How late the buses run? If you are working on minimum wage, sometimes your your paycheck or your schedule have you coming in 9, 10 o'clock at night. Do you have buses to take you home? And once you get off the bus, do you have lights to walk you lit all the way home?
Mm-hmm.
Those things are supposed to be addressed if that's unique to your community.
Okay.
Um, I forgot what I was going to ask, dear, because you interrupted me there. So, so
Always a woman's.
That's
the,
right.
the
He
the
blames his lack of attention.
what
and,
do you
and
what do you think? What is the next step after the meeting on Tuesday? That's basically a public hearing kind of thing where everybody can see the maps and they give public feedback, and then the county commission wants to vote on this. They have to vote on it quickly.
They do.
I believe before the end of the year.
Yes,
So what happens after that? They're gonna pick one.
they're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys feel that that this county commission is fair? You don't think they're racist, do you? Or do you?
I'm a newbie. I'm the newest member of the Lee County NAACP and newest member of the redistricting team. And so far, I have had one commissioner reach out to me and said, let's talk.
Who was that?
Brian Hammond.
Okay. You did call the maps racist, though. Somebody did, right?
No, if I'm not mistaken, we said it didn't do the job, so we didn't want them. And for that reason,
Okay.
we use strong languages at time, because it gets to the point and it addresses our position.
Does it the picture that hangs in that room, is it offensive? It seems like it's a picture of Robert E. Lee in that room. Is that odd? It seems odd to me.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean,
I think that if you think about what he represents, and if you can even think as a person of color, what this man represents, when you go before the board, what are the chances of you feeling like, because he's sitting there and this board actually is representing and actually paying homage to him? What are the chances of a person of color feeling as though they can walk in there and have fair representation?
Yeah.
And that says a lot. That is still holding on to the Jim Crow era. Is still telling us when we walk in there as a person of color, as a minority, that we're still small. And we are not small in any way. But that represents Robert E. Lee, and that portrait of him represents the Lee County Board of County Commissioners. And they represent him. That's basically what it says. So anyone that sees that from that perspective can really truly understand how a person of color would feel and wonder if we are being represented in the proper way.
You know, people at times tend to ignore the impact of symbols. And I think that's what's happening now. It's a tone deaf situation. What it means. I know if you are living on a street and you have something, you love your neighbors, and there's something that every time your neighbor passes your home, it hurts them, and they talk to you about it because you love your neighbor and you feel your neighbor's pain. You would do something about it. That symbolism that sits there, and how many for years we have spoken about the pain and the hurt that it reflects, and there is no desire to ease our pain.
I'm sorry he got you all off on that.
No,
All right.
I think it needs to be said. And I think people need to really understand
Mhm.
it from a different perspective.
Well, I think that's kind of like where we started, which is about getting out,
Lee,
saying what you need to say and explaining how it feels and educating
Lee
people.
Melsick is watching the show, and he knows a lot of history about Lee County. He says that one black person only one has served on the Lee County
Yes.
board.
Right.
Melvin Morgan.
Why is that?
And that person was not elected, we should say.
Okay.
That person was appointed.
Why what's the challenge there? How is that changed?
You know, I look, and I'm trying to find a reference, and my mind is going like crazy.
That happens to me
you
a lot
remember-
too.
You remember?
No, yours
for how
just
many-
slows down.
yeah. for how many years we have had a male white president? You remember that? And then the sense of I'm able to breathe when President Obama took the seat.
Mhm.
And everyone, even folks who didn't vote for him, kind of feel a breath of fresh air. That's what we're talking about here.
Mhm.
That's
Do
what
you
we-
feel like everybody evenly? I know this is going to come across as a dumb question, but I'd like to know your answers. Get a fair shot at the American dream.
That's a difficult question because there's endemic racism, and at times it takes special individuals, family structure, to break through that ice, that barrier that separates and controls the individual.
Well, I'll say it like this. There's a responsibility on both ends, on the individuals as well as the government and the people themselves. You cannot get a family that is working hard. These are hard workers, but they are only because of the fact that they are here, their parents, their grandparents were uneducated. Now they're educated, but they can't afford to go to college because of the fact that they're only focused on the fact that, hey, I finished school, but guess what? I had to work. I had to work during high school. So my focus wasn't on college. It was just being able to eat, So when you're focused on that, you're lucky that it's like getting a child that's been traumatized that's not eating on a daily basis. And you want them to go to school and be able to focus and learn. How can you expect for them to do that?
Mhm.
And so therefore there's a setback. There's a systemic system here that is preventing people to elevate. And we have to recognize that. And until we do, and we can say, oh, well, everyone has the shot at the American dream, but we don't.
No.
Realistically, we don't, because you're always starting out over and over from day one, over and over again.
Mhm.
So now you finish high school, you're working, you have the skills, but you're only working and you're making $18 an hour or $15 an hour. That is, you're going to work the rest of your life to be able to just make ends meet, because we already know that's not going to happen here in Fort Myers. That's not going to happen here in Lee County. $15 an hour can barely pay your bills.
Right.
So now you have children that are still starting over when they graduate from day one, and they have to continually work from the beginning over and over again. So how can we repair that? We have to recognize it, and we also have to set a system in place where it gives them an opportunity. Most of the people, and I've worked in social services for years, they just want an opportunity to do better. And if you give them that opportunity, they will. I've seen it happen. So all we have to do is make sure that we have the resources and put the resources in place to be able to do that.
Let's make it personal. Let me tell you about something with me. I went to Rutgers. I was a class president, and a group of us were recruited to work in Wall Street. Payne Weber. In those days, blacks were not put in the sales department. So I was sent to operation. All my classmates who were white went to sales. It took me 5 years to get out of operation. take the broker's exam to become a broker. 5 years. I was 5 years behind my peers in sales. That's what I'm talking about.
And let me take it a little step further.
Okay.
Let's look at it things from a woman's standpoint. We're not even equal. You know, we have the skills, we have the abilities, the same as men do, but we're still making less than a man, even though we may just be smarter than they are. We're able to juggle more than we are because we have the babies, we raise the children, we take care of the home, but we still go out and we make it happen.
And
And
your
yet and
shirts,
still,
your shirts at the dry cleaners is more expensive than mine.
absolutely, you know, absolutely,
Uh,
especially our heels.
so, be, before we let you go, I have kind of a crazy question just to see what you think. My favorite comedian is Dave Chappelle.
Love him.
Are you offended by what he's done? Are you offended by how they're trying to cancel him?
Do you have any comment?
Well, we're living in the most complex time. And you want to love something and you are questioning it, and you're trying to walk in a balanced fashion, but you also have to learn about the changing time. And to me, it's the most difficult time to live in, and that's what's happening. I love him. I like his sense of humor, and I like some of the things that he's saying. But at the same time, I am more sensitive to the folks who are saying this might not be the way to go. So it's a struggle, and at times I find myself conflicted.
Well, if you watch, if people watch it to the end, you really get the feel for the struggle at the end when he explains how hard the struggle's been compared, a certain group of people compared to a different group of people, and he really laid it out there. And it was a home run to me when he explained it that way, because there's some people, I know there are people that feel like they're being discriminated against now because there's 50 different things that people can call themselves these days, and back then, you weren't allowed to drink out of the same water fountains and you weren't allowed to go to the same schools. It's way different to me, and the way he laid it out, obviously a white person is not going to be able to lay it out like that and get away with it.
Right.
And it was I just thought it was a complete teaching moment at that point. I don't think he could ever be canceled because he's so funny and because he is obviously knows the history.
Yeah. But when you have felt discrimination, it's very hard for you to be tone deaf when someone said, I'm being discriminated against.
Okay.
And you have to pause and you have to listen. And then you have to do a self-evaluation.
Did you watch the special?
Part of it.
Okay. Did you get to the part that offended?
No.
Okay.
No.
Did you watch the special?
I did not.
All right.
I've heard a lot about it, and I agree with what Mike said. It's I think all of this, everything that we go through is a learning opportunity.
Mhm.
And it's an opportunity for us to empathize with others. However, when you see a situation, when you look within yourself as a person of who you are, we all have our own struggles.
Right.
And that's just, how it is. I think acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be more accepting of each other. We need to be more understanding of the other person as well. But the struggle continues. What I say with what's happening is, and all those who continually say that they're being discriminated against, welcome to our world. This is us. This has been going on
For a lot
hundreds of
longer.
years.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't compare your pain to my pain. I'm not going to try, because you may hurt and your hurt is real.
Mhm.
But I can tell you what I've been through for over 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
What my people have been through for over 400 years. And we still face it daily with discrimination, with that subliminal discrimination. It's not so, overt now.
The way it was,
it's very,
right,
very
right,
covert,
right.
but it's still there. And you work hard, you get your education, but you're still the last one to get promoted, even though you have built the skills, you have the skills and everything to do so, but you're still not promoted. So therefore your children and your grandchildren, that's where the generational wealth is stagnant. So it affects us in so many ways that, and it's very deep. But I'm not taking away from anything that anyone else has been through.
So on Tuesday, anything you want people to do to go out and support, learn more about your map or support? I mean, how can they get in touch with you? How can they learn more? I mean, I think for a lot of people in the county, they're just be like they're whipsawed from this. Like, what's going on here? They're seeing 7 maps and, you know, and then trying to understand why this change is being made. If you're not following the county meetings or the politics of it all, you're probably in the dark about what's going on Tuesday. So how can people get involved?
I believe that the fact that there are 7 maps is really good because it shows the importance of it. And this happened once every 10 years.
Right.
And everyone should be involved and say, wait a minute, let me look at that. Let me evaluate. Because at times we vote, it's a knee-jerk reaction. We just vote, and because I voted like that 10 years ago, and we're saying reevaluate.
I actually would like
about the process.
I actually would like to see a charter change where you do have to vote within a district and you have to fight in that district, and it makes it. I just think it makes it more competitive, and it's better than. You know, it's better than the machine winning. It just seems like, and I'm not saying Republican or Democrat, it just seems like the machine is going to win. If they find a person that they want, they put all the money behind that person because they got all 800,000 people that they can go after rather than one district. And I just mean that for every district. It just seems like that should be done everywhere.
Yeah, that's a single member voting district.
Yeah.
And that's the way the school board is set up.
Right.
You know, the wards are set up very similar to that, the same way. And like I said, it's time for the county to recognize that. Let the people within that area vote for the person to represent.
Now, what's the downside to that?
Sense.
It means no.
I want to superimpose your brain on the rest of the county.
Oh no, you don't.
No, not really.
No, you don't.
That won't go over well.
No, they don't.
No, we're friends with all
don't.
5 of them. We think they're great guys. I think that voting system, and I think I'm not an expert at this, but I think in Florida, each county has to have 5 districts, and at least that's what I thought I read, but it can be different, and the state doesn't rule how each county can vote. They can change the charter to vote it that way, correct? Is that right? Would it need to be a referendum?
It has to be at least 5 districts, but it's going to be more.
I see. It's got to be at least 5.
Especially with the growth.
Yeah.
You know, so at this point, you know, it's just following the growth. They said that it's growing. Follow the growth. Make the changes. Single member district is fair. It's equitable. Fair. You know, and what do you have to lose?
But there's no downside to it. Now you're really representing your district.
Absolutely.
As opposed to trying to represent everybody in the county.
Okay.
Sorry.
I know, but
it has nothing to do with this county. I love those guys. What would you like
people to do let's this thing first, as they said at the beginning, get the redistricting redone first.
Yeah.
So what do you want? You want people to show up?
Show up to every meeting. Show up to these meetings.
Get involved.
This is you know, this will not happen until another 10 years. So it needs to be done now. So all of the citizens within the communities, within Lee County need to come. They need to understand, ask questions, call the NAACP. 239-464-1394 is our president's number. And we're on Facebook. They can reach us through Facebook as well. The NAACP, Lee County NAACP. Ask questions, become aware. As long as you're ignorant to certain things, people can take advantage of you.
Yeah, I'm ignorant to a lot of things, so people take advantage of me all the time. No, we appreciate you educating her on it.
And remember that the map tells a story, and the story is about how the people live within the confines of that map. It's where they go to church. It's where they gather. It's how their children deal with the school system, or how the school system deal with their children. There's a story there beyond the lines of the map. So when you resolve the issue with the map, you're addressing the issue of the people who live within that map constraint.
So are you confident, you might have asked this already, that your map follows, there's certain guidelines of whatever the rules are, because there's certain rules other than the population. There are other things they throw in there to make it unlawful, I guess. All that
asked and answered in the affirmative.
So cool. Well, thank you guys so much for
Thank
coming
you
down.
so
I
much.
learned a
Thank
lot,
you for
and
inviting
we hope to have you
us.
back and see you on Tuesday night for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Well, you might not see us at the commission. We'll be at
The school board.
The school board.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
two.
The
I
school
see. They
board-
schedule at the same time.
They
I
schedule
see.
them at the same time.
What's going on at the school board?
Well,
They're not fighting over the masks still, are they?
No.
They're crazy with the masks thing.
no, we're doing the map thing right now.
Yeah.
right.
No, but what's going on at the school board?
Oh, well, it goes back down to our children. You see what's happening in what's that county, Laundry County? Oh, the mama bears and the papa bears are fighting over their kids. I think that's the same thing that's happening.
I see.
here.
Don't you find it a little bit odd that all the county members are men and all the school board are women? How did that happen? Like, there's no mixing and matching in any way on those two boards. It's kind of crazy that
Again,
happened.
you have an at-large voting system
Right.
compared to a single
Yeah.
member district voting system.
Yeah.
You have an
There you
opportunity
see-
to have fair representation with single member district. With at large, you really truly don't. And
Mhm.
every one of these municipalities, the school board, the county commission, even Fort Myers City Council, they have to have those maps drawn. They have their own maps. And what we're trying to do is ensure that the school board recognizes
I see.
that there's an at-large. They usually go according to the county board of county commissioners map, but that's unfair because of the board of county commissioners is an at-large voting system where theirs is a single member district. They're not the same. They're two different entities. They need to focus on what they
Okay.
are commissioned to do.
I might have missed this. Now, when the map is redrawn, whatever map is chosen, that district becomes the school district 2, or is the district have a school district? Did you say the school district has a completely different map than their map, and that's just the way it is in all counties?
Right now, the county is trying to get the school district to adopt
Their map. So there'd only be 5
Right.
school board members. Isn't there like 15 now, or just?
No,
Oh, that's the attorney up there.
There's 7. There's
7
5
now.
single member
So,
districts in
now-
total.
we are encouraging the school district to create their own map.
Okay. Now, I thought of a question while you were talking about the school board. We've had Chris Patrica on 2 or 3
They might
times.
have other stuff to do.
Listen, this is important. When you heard her on the Zoom meeting say what she said, do you think she needed to resign after that? There's a long
Well,
pause, pregnated pause, as they say.
Yeah, let me just jump in. I believe in second chance, and I believe in opportunity to rehabilitate, to learn, and to grow.
Look at you,
That's
Mr.
my
Nice Guy.
personal-
Very nice.
Because I've made so many mistakes in my
Oh,
life.
tell me about one. Tell me about one. Share one of your biggest mistakes that you've made.
Wow. The statute of limitation might not have run.
I
so
see, I see.
I plead the
He'll
fifth.
take
I
the
see.
fifth. I can't. That's not for me to call. I think it's for the people
Yeah.
who voted her in to make that decision. You know,
Are you going to run
Um,
for office? Because that's a political answer, the best I've ever heard so far. So everybody's
It's from
got
the
an
heart.
opinion. So awesome. Well, you guys are great. Thanks for coming on and educating my wife out, because I told her
Yes,
she had to
thank you.
read up on this map stuff. I
we
mean,
knew you knew it all.
the looking at
Ah.
the maps on the screen up there, it's like, holy crap, what the hell's going on with these 50 different maps, and the attorney's getting involved and everybody's is there enough? Did you think there's enough involvement? I know she wants me to let
Boy,
you go, but I
guys
just
were
can't. I can't
almost
stop.
ready,
It's-
and then
Did you know it's noon? The show's been going on for
I'm
3
loving it.
hours.
I'm loving it.
Did you? Was there enough people? You can't, because when you watch the county board meeting, you can't see the audience. Were there a lot of people? Are there a lot of people involved in this?
There are. There's several groups that are involved, fighting for equity and the ability to choose your own representative. I think there needs to be more community involvement. But
For sure.
again, when you have people that are working 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day,
Yeah.
they don't get off until
Right.
6:30. The chances of them being able to be there.
Right. So this one on Tuesday is going to be at night, which is good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a woman that speaks at every county board meeting. She says her name at the beginning, and she I don't know, is she homeless, or she advocates for the homeless for sure.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name because I have Alzheimer's early stage.
She has a Juris Doctorate degree.
Seriously.
Yes.
She gets up there and
Yes.
she gives them grief every single, like twice a meeting.
Yes.
So, which
well,
But the county does do a lot for homeless.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know why we got off on that. Why'd you
I
bring up
don't-
the homeless
I
thing?
don't
But
know, but-
I brought it up because she's always involved. She's
Mhm.
very involved. She goes to all the meetings, every single one. And anyway, so did we miss anything? I don't know why I got off on the
I think you
tangent there.
guys did great.
Thank you.
We were there. We were at the finish line, and
The
then
thing
he
is,
just
I'm
went
going to be
over
honest with you.
into-
I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh, no.
You just don't know when you're going to
no.
ask the wrong question because it's a difficult issue sometimes.
It
And
is.
for,
It is.
especially for a white guy. I mean, I'm trying to learn as much as I can and not be an ass about things.
And
But
that's one of
sometimes
the
you're an
things
ass.
I think that we appreciate because of the fact that you inviting us here, being representatives of the NAACP, but it's also to give information, provide information, and implore anyone who is interested in the future of their children and their children's children to come to be a part of this, because this is a chance of a lifetime. Like I said, it'll be another 10 years before we will be
Right.
facing this again. So the time is now.
Mhm.
Even if you don't understand it, just come to the meetings and start to follow it.
Right.
How much you
Well-
guys pay for parking? Do I need to take care of that for you? I know some people down here are you were
think it was
downloading the app and the whole.
$100,
Oh,
right?
come on.
Yeah, I paid premium.
Nice,
Oh,
very
boy.
nice. You know people too, I guess. So. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you
Good
so
luck on
much for
Tuesday,
coming
Thank you for
out.
and
having us.
if we don't see you there, we'll see somebody else there from the
Yes.
organization,
All right.
right? Awesome.
Yes.
Good luck with the map.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you guys
much.
for
Thank you
coming
very
on.
much. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Before we go, dear, you have to take care of this.
No,
I have to go to the restroom, and you have to take.
held up
Oh,
too
okay.
long.
All right, you can go ahead and do what you have to do, and I will take care of my friends at Beach Pottery, and then she'll take care of our friends at the Fort Myers Tiki Tours.